Okay, we are live and ready, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'll call the Seldovia Planning and Zoning Commission to order on Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020 at 6:14 p.m. Roll call, please.
Ms. Gruber,
Here.
Mr. Forsberg, Ms. Carluccio,
Here.
Mr. Lapine.
Here.
With 3 people present, we do have a quorum. Item C, approval of agenda.
Move for the approval of the agenda.
A second.
Is there any discussion on the agenda?
No.
Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Gruber,
Here.
that's a yay or nay.
Yay.
Mr. Forsberg is absent. Ms. Carluccio,
Yes.
Mr. Lapine.
Yes.
Agenda's approved. Item D, approval of minutes from the June 3rd, 2020 meeting.
Move for approval of the minutes.
I second.
There's a motion and second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
No.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Gruber,
Yay.
Mr. Lapine,
Yes.
Ms. Carluccio.
Yes. Item E, public comments regarding items not on the agenda. There was no one here from the public. Is there anyone online?
Not at this time, Madam Chair.
So seeing none, we will close public comments regarding items not on the agenda and move on to item G, consideration of site plans, various permit application code. Staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So I know there's a lot of information on this packet, but I wanted to make sure that you had everything. Starting on page 9 is the variance permit and the most recent variance permit and building application. Let's see. So 9 is the public notice. 10 is that variance permit application. And he's asking for a setback on the variance for the setback on the north lot line for a small walkway deck to allow access without, I think it's supposed to say out of the lower part of the home. And following that, on page 12, he says, in request of the variance permit on parcel 192.01310 of the setback code 18.40.070 to allow a narrow deck walkway in and out of the home on the east side. There currently is a temporary ramp that was to allow for building maintenance. And when discussing with him on the phone, he did say that they are going to remove part of the deck that's currently there. They're going to make it more narrow. So he's got a drawing on page 17, and he's saying the deck will be 4.2. He's going to remove about a foot off of the existing deck, so it'll be just that 4.2, so that it's not as far into the setback, was his thinking. And the part on the front that connects to the deck on the front of the house will be removed as well. So it'll just be this section here on the north side of the page that says new deck, and I think that's actually supposed to be, yeah, he says on the east side here, but the deck is on the north side of that house. As you can see, the setbacks are along the house are 2.1 on the east and 3.5 on the south. We've had an issue before. There was a previous And I did put a picture, there's a couple of plaques in here. Page 18 is on the borough's current site. We have a couple of maps on our walls in the city. The most current mapping from the borough shows that that lot is in 3. So I did reach out to the borough to ask about the status of this lot. You'll see on page 19 is the most recent plat on the borough's records, and it's as 1. And that follows also on the following page. So there is a letter in here. Let me know if I'm going too fast. But on page 25, I did reach out to the borough and I received a response that the properties had been split in the 60s into 3 by a deed, by warranty deed, and that's on the following page 27, you'll see that. And the previous owner had reached out to the borough about putting them back together, and he was notified by the borough that they'd be okay to proceed once they had had his written request mailed in. And I did notify the owner of that last week when I was able to get a hold of him. He said he had heard a couple different things from the borough, but I'd have to have him speak more to that. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's here. But I did send him that letter so that he knew that that was the borough's response to that lot being in 3, and that's why part of those setbacks are so small. But certainly that east and the west setback would be expanded if that property was expanded. Page 21 was a more recent picture, and you can see that deck. That deck right there on the left of the picture with the ramp down is the one that he's talking about removing. And then on the front, he would narrow that front deck from where it's at down to that 4.2 so that it was more narrow and not as much into the setback. And then on the following pages, 22, 23, and 24 are some pictures that he had provided originally that show that deck and the road right away. And there's about 16 feet, I measured it from that shop across the street to that deck. He shows on 23 some of the old deck above, and that's why they repaired the deck above. You can see it again on 24, that's why that deck was already there and repaired. But the deck below had been in disrepair for several years. There is a public comment from a neighbor that mentions that, and the owner was in agreement with that. It had been, the deck had not been existing for a while, even though there was material beside the building. It looked like maybe with intent to replace it, but it wasn't there when he put it in. And I did include previous building applications that have been denied, the previous variance requests that he had put in, that they had rescinded, and letters back and forth, correspondence, all, and this has been a 2-year process. So that is all in your packet, just for the history of this project.
Is that it?
Yes.
Is there anyone from the public online?
There is none at this time, Madam Chair.
So there's no one, so Mr. Cole's not here, or no one from the public is here to address us on this. Okay, so let's move on to commission discussion, questions.
Most of my questions were for Mr. Cole personally. So.
Okay, can I ask you He does have this drawing on page 17.
This is Chris.
Yeah,
You know,
Chris?
I have looked at this and my problem with it is that we don't have an as-built survey. We don't know where this building exists on the lot, even though we have a lot plat. It doesn't tell us anything about where the building is located on the lot. And I'd like to know that.
I definitely agree with that. Which again, I wish Mr. Cole was here. But my concerns are, I know at a previous meeting, he gave us a bit of the layout of the interior of the house and was able to answer a few questions. And he previously spoke of mobility concerns. I can't remember personally off the top of my head whether he mentioned needing a walker or a wheelchair, but because Polly had said that, because he stated fire, and Polly had asked, well, would a ladder work to get people out of, the downstairs rooms? And he cited mobility. But here's my big issue with it is, one, the neighbor has concerns of it and they have valid concerns. And number two, if he's really worried about mobility, what other things have been done to the house that could maybe this deck doesn't need to exist? There might be other ways to improve the house that the P&Z wouldn't even have to talk about, because they could be done on the inside and they could help people in this time of emergency.
Kathleen, I just wanted to mention one thing. I do believe he indicated that there was a door on the opposite side.
Yes, and there's, I believe, just because I remember walking past that house, there is another door. And in my research about this problem, they strongly suggest for anybody with mobility problems that you have a minimum of a 36 width door. Most best is if you have a 40-inch. So he would probably have to widen his doors anyway. So that's, if mobility is truly the reason him wanting this variance, if that's truly a problem, then he's got a lot of remodeling that he could potentially do this house, which would make this deck not necessary. So I just I feel very hesitant to approve of it because, again, Mr. Cole's not here. Maybe he could answer some of these questions. But I don't feel that the deck is necessary for safety. I feel that there's potentially other things he could do to improve safety and for people who have mobility issues. And I did really read that neighbor's letter, and they have a lot of valid points. So that's kind of my sticking issue on this.
Okay, and Chris, did you have anything else to say besides the?
Yeah, I do. My suggestion would be at this point in time that we table this or postpone it until such time as Mr. Cole can be present to talk about it. I think we're wasting our time with this right now.
We are in a way, because Mr. Cole isn't here, and secondly, we don't have enough people to pass it anyhow. A variance is one of those things that needs 4 affirmative votes. And we only have 3 people here. So I think I would just like to state that in addition to the things that Chris and Kathleen had brought up, I would like to point out that he really hasn't done, he's got 3 lots there. And he could put these 3 lots together to make his lot a little more conforming. And he hasn't done anything to do that. I know he said he's gotten different answers from the borough, but he would need, I think he should show us what he's done and what the borough has said to him and what steps he's taken to resolve these 3 lots. And in one case, it sounded like they were just going to be able to do it without a lot of rigmarole because this was all done before planning even happened in the borough. That they were just going to be able to take a letter from him saying that he wanted to put those lots together and that they would do it. I agree. I think we need to have an as-built. And secondly, I think one thing we should consider is because of the time involved and everything else, and I don't know how or if we're going to be able to get enough people together in order to handle this issue in a timely manner, that Mr. Cole should be given the option of taking this to city council if he doesn't want to wait around for us to have the required number of people to hear this issue. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's fine as far as I'm concerned. Like I say, I think we need to either postpone or tell him to take it to the council. But for right now, I don't think we have the information we need to make any kind of decision, plus not having a 4th member.
So are you all in agreement? We don't need a motion on that because we don't have enough people to make a motion on this. So I would say that either that Mr. Cole be given the option of taking it directly to city council if he wants to, or you can give him the list of our questions and what we would need to see in order to make a decision on this. And of course, that would be passed on to the city council also.
Sounds fine to me.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, and with that, we will have no action or disposition on this. I don't know. I mean, I guess if he takes it on to the city council, we could possibly make a recommendation, but we really don't have enough, according to what Chris said, that he wouldn't be comfortable making a recommendation on this either way. So there will be no action. Okay, commission business, staff reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I am in the process, we're in the process of the city office, completing our Seldovia Municipal Code codification. I try to do this yearly and normally it takes place in August, but we're a little bit behind this year. And that codification will include the timing piece that happened for Title 17 for the building permits, and those Title 18 updates, which is that land use table and all that work that was done to format and make that title a little more consistent. When that is done, I would, or even sooner, if you guys want to bring your books by the city office, I would love to update them with those new codes so you're all current. And that should hopefully be, it was introduced at the last city council meeting, so hopefully this on the 14th it'll be approved. Other than that, possible future joint work session with the city council for the land development plan. This is something we've discussed in the past with past administration. I know that it is something that our new city manager is interested in as well, and something that the council would definitely like to see happen. They've talked about it quite a bit recently. And of course, they would love to have, as the city planners, for the commission, for the city planning, to have your guys' input and involvement. So I would expect to see that coming hopefully in the next couple of months, and I'll keep you guys updated with that. I know the budget season also starts in February, so we'll have to see how that gets scheduled in. And that was my report.
Thank you. And informational items not requiring action. City manager Rachel Freelander starts on December 7th. So we hopefully will have her at our next meeting. Comments of the public, no comments are online or in the chambers, so we'll skip that and on to comments of the commission. Kathleen.
I look forward to those meetings.
Chris.
Yeah, I look forward to those meetings, and I also hope that we can get another member on our commission. Don't we have a vacancy?
Yes, we do. And are you in town, Chris?
What's that?
I said, are you in town?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know about you, but about 10 minutes before the meeting, our power was out. So I thought, oh no, now what? But thankfully it came back on.
Right.
Thank you both for attending. I really appreciate the time and effort that you put into attending these meetings. And I really appreciate Heidi for all the work she's done and getting everything together on this coal issue. It's a shame that we couldn't move forward on it. And our next regular scheduled meeting is January 6th. We'll know as we get closer to the date whether we'll actually have a meeting on that day or not. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
So ordered. Good night, folks. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for coming.
You all have a good evening. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.